Hey, part of the secret to why I look exhausted on this YouTube channel so often is that I generally do record YouTube videos only when I am too tired, too worn down, too exhausted to be doing something more productive with my time. Right now, if I were not so worn down, this is what I would be doing with my time. This is a course to teach yourself Japanese that is taught in the German language. Das ist Japanisch in 30 Tagen mit Deutsch als Hilfssprache. So that would be practicing German while I'm learning Japanese. To be honest with you, after I stop recording this video, I'm going to try. I'm going to put some more energy into this. Right now, it is the evening here, but I have to be up at 5 a.m. to get on a train. Train takes me to an airplane. Airplane takes me to a boat. It's going to be a horrendous day tomorrow. And I may not sleep all night, actually. This is a strange illustration of one aspect of why YouTube is not a waste of my time, because it is something you can do at any time. But I am going to give a little bit more of a profound set of reflections here about the ways in which YouTube is not a waste of your time, and it's actually something quite meaningful. On my resume, on my CV, I list that I gave a lecture at Oxford University, England, formal academic lecture. I gave another lecture at SOAS, University of London. Totally different. The actual text, what was presented to those two, I wrote original material for those two lectures. You can definitely get the text for the Oxford lecture on the internet right now by going to it and clicking on it. When I speak on YouTube, whether it's scripted or unscripted, I'm going to post a link here to an example of one of my videos here on my YouTube channel that is scripted, where I wrote a lecture in advance and performed it on microphone, so to speak. When I record and upload something here, reliably 200 people will see it who are really interested. That's whether I'm talking about veganism, Buddhism, politics of China, any other topic. Sooner or later, that's going to get around to an audience of, shall we say humbly, 200 people. Some of my YouTube videos have reached more than 1,000. I think a couple of my videos have reached 10,000 people. But not all of the people who click on a video are really interested, really want to hear it. So we're going to use a conservative estimate here and say 200 people. When I gave those lectures in person at Oxford University and University of London, there were vastly fewer than 200 people. And even though the people who are there are going to be polite to you, many of them will be there for the wrong reasons. It happens to me, it happens to everyone. You go to a lecture on the basis of seeing the title, seeing a little bit of information, not really knowing what it's going to be about, or maybe you go to a lecture because your girlfriend wants to go. You go to a lecture because a friend of yours drags you along. Necessarily, the number of people in the audience is much fewer, and the number of people who really wanted to hear that content is only going to be a small subset of that audience. And the wonderful thing about YouTube is that my content can sit here until the people who are really interested in hearing it happen to find it. Now, I also used to work as an editor of nonfiction in the publishing industry, publishing books. And we published books written by university professors, all sorts of people, but predominantly academics, researchers of various kinds. If we had a book that sold 500 copies, that was a hit book. If we had a book that sold 500 copies in its first year, that was a smash hit book. And those were books on history, politics, languages. The reason why I was an editor there was that they were books about the sorts of things that interest me, the sorts of things I talk about on this YouTube channel, quite frankly. Now, admittedly, a YouTube video is not a book, but in some ways, as a method of communication, this is more meaningful, and it brings about much better results in your life. That lecture I gave at Oxford, what positive results came out of it? Really nothing. It sits on my resume as an accomplishment. Did I make a single friend from giving that lecture? No. Do I make friends by speaking on YouTube? Yes. I make real friends in real life through this YouTube channel. That's one of my main reasons for putting time and effort into having a web presence at all. I often say to people, what I'm doing here is not really activism any more than having a conversation with someone who you happen to meet in a coffee shop can be called activism. A large part of what I'm doing here is just talking to friends, past, present, and future. Someone may see this video 5 years from now who is my friend 5 years in the future who I haven't met yet. And that's kind of wonderful. The lecture I gave at Oxford. Do you think my daughter is ever going to care about that? I have a 2-year-old daughter. You can see what she looks like on the same YouTube channel. She's not going to care about that. But right now, being able to look into my eyes through this camera, see my strangely dishwater green eyes, and have some sense of the man I was in this time of my life, that could indeed be meaningful to my daughter one day. I really feel that YouTube is not a waste of time, both for all the reasons I just mentioned and because of the way you can dynamically fit it into your life at times when you can't be doing other forms of work. I'm tempted, of course, to just end this video at that moment, but I have a little bit more to say. I do get email from people reflecting on how my work has changed their lives. And although it sometimes is about my written work, it's very often in response to my YouTube videos. And very often I think they would not have read my written work if they didn't see the YouTube video first. So they make a connection to the YouTube video, then they look up and read my essays or look into my background a bit further. I doubt that any of the lectures I've given in real life had that effect on people. Or if they did, I never heard about it. And with YouTube, I have changed a few people's lives and I have heard about it. And one other interesting element is how different it is, how fundamentally unpretentious it is for you to hear my voice and see the look in my eyes through this peculiar medium that makes a digital ghost out of all of us. I had a lot of experience with the written word. And while I did not grow up with a jejune belief in the power of the written word, I think I was naive when I was younger in that I thought people took their time in reading something set out in writing and would get less emotionally distraught by it, that they would respond more rationally simply because written language forces us to slow down and think things through methodically. And what I've learned as an adult is that the exact opposite is true. There were such extreme reactions to what I wrote on paper, whether I was talking about Buddhism, veganism, politics, history. And people used to react and cast all kinds of aspersions on my character and really kind of invent stories about me and ascribe very strange motives to me. And as soon as I started talking on YouTube, all of that stopped. The whole tone and tenor and content of how people reacted to me in my work, in every field I've commented on, changed. And it changed for the better. And I don't know what that says about my fellow human beings in the 21st century. That people really did not want to believe in my humanity when they read the written word, whether they responded to my writing by making me into a hero or by making me into a villain. The reactions were so extreme, even when my own writing was completely unpretentious. But I'm delighted to find that simply by using this medium, simply by communicating with people through YouTube, I've managed to somehow puncture those illusions.